Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Ambrose Blowfield here from the Sales Mastery Company. And today I'm going to share with you 4 ways for you to truly take control and to master your sales career. Now, this, of course, comes from my own personal experience, and that, of course, of the last 20 years of coaching and training thousands of salespeople right around the world. So strap yourself in, be prepared to take action, and more importantly, be prepared to take control of your sales career so you can earn the earning potential that you deserve. Now, if you've downloaded the workbook from interacting with us on social media or email over the last few weeks, you will have this workbook in mind. If you haven't, please simply send an email to admin@salesmasterycompany.com and literally send to us, please send me the workbook according to mastering your sales career. So the purpose of today is to make you even more successful in your sales role, to maximize your earning potential for yourself, for your family, for your community, and then likewise to maximize your purpose. Something I've personally found from traveling to many, many countries around the world is that people with purpose tend to be more motivated and ultimately healthier. And that's healthier in many, many ways, obviously from a mental perspective, physiological perspective, and often from an emotional perspective as well. So I want you to be purposeful, I want you to be healthy, and ultimately I'd like you to maximize your earning potential so you can do good with that money as well. And then finally, today is about getting you to become proactive in your career. I remember someone sharing with me about 30 years ago that they felt that only 5 or 10% of humans believed that they could directly influence the outcomes that they have in life. And sadly, the vast majority of people, was their belief, could not influence and didn't even think it was worth trying to influence. Now, whether that person was beaten down by the community, by their parents, by their grandparents, by the school teachers, or by their peers, ultimately, it could even come down to a boss. In sales, most people would understand the basic principle of what you put in is what you get out. How much you learn reflects on how much you earn. And therein lies something that I've seen time and time again. So let's look at the first two. Number one, best piece of advice I was given in my first 3 weeks working at the global giant Procter & Gamble, when my sales coach, who was not the same person as my sales manager, such as their investment in our training, my sales coach said, Ambrose, your manager doesn't know what you're going through. Your manager can't mind read. You need to manage your manager. So I put it to you this, whether you lead, being led by a sales leader or a sales manager, or indeed a business owner directly, you need to lead them. You need to manage up, is the expression we talk about here. What I mean by that is, if you want more coaching, ask for it. If you want more training, ask for it. If you want more support, ask for it. If you want more time, ask for it. If you want more admin and sales support, ask for it. And if you haven't yet achieved the outcome from your manager, don't give up on them. They're not mind readers. They don't know the mental or emotional turmoil you're going through right now. The reality here is you haven't asked in the right way, or you haven't yet asked in the right timing, or you haven't yet asked the right person enough times. When you were a child, you kept asking until your parents or your grandparents gave you what you wanted. Don't give up on your manager. Manage up, get used to it, and then you get some leverage. Number two, you've got to manage your development. As I mentioned before, cliche though it might sound, how much you learn directly impacts how much you earn over your lifetime. Now, personally, when I look at people's sales bonuses and commissions, I often see the better performers earning nearly double or at least double of what their colleagues do when it comes down to bonuses. Now, you start to track that over a 10, 20, 30, 40-year sales career. That is the difference of whether you live in a mansion or live in a shack. Now, again, I'm not generalizing, saying that living in shacks is a terrible thing. I imagine a shack on a cliff top overlooking a beautiful ocean would be an amazing place to live. But the fact remains here is your commission is what gives you those extra luxuries and choices in life. It makes a difference of whether you sit towards the front of a plane or the back of a plane, whether your kids go to a certain school or a certain college or university. It can have a massive impact on your future legacy and the generation that hopefully follows you if you earn more. So let's get clear about what you need to learn. You need to learn things about the marketplace, whether that's competitor, industry, or technical knowledge. You need to learn about the product that you sell or the service that you sell. You need to learn about business. You need to learn about marketing. And then, of course, you need to learn the 150 different things that we teach for people to master a career in sales. And I'm not saying that as a sales pitch to you. I'm saying there's about 150 different things that a salesperson should learn in order to truly take control of their full earning potential. Procter & Gamble were very fortunate for me because they spent £100,000 in my first year sales training. Stop and think about that for a moment. the second most respected company on the planet when I joined them, the number one consumer goods company on the planet when I joined them, chose to invest £100,000 in my development, simply because they knew there was a massive gap between where I was and where I could get to, or where they wanted to get to, bearing in mind they're world class in their field. So that's what the standards are. Now, typically, I was blessed because I joined deliberately a company that was going to invest massively in my training, because I knew it would make a massive difference to my long-term career. But ultimately, for you, if your manager doesn't get with the program like the Procter & Gamble's or the Mars's or the Nestle's or even the McDonald's of the world, then you need to be the one to lead that. You need to say, look, in 3 years' time, I want to be a sales manager. I want to develop my skills now. That was another thing I'll just say as a side note. Procter & Gamble typically developed leaders 2 to 3 years before they stepped into leadership roles. That's quite a good lesson there. Number 3, got to master your tools. If you fell into the role of sales, or you chose to go into the role of sales like me, the chances are you had certain skills. You're probably good at problem solving. I suspect you're good with people. I suspect you like challenge. I suspect you're good at goal setting. And despite the fact you might beat yourself up verbally, I suspect you're quite good at time management. Now, yes, I know you procrastinate and avoid some of those tough calls and tough meetings, but ultimately, I imagine you know how to get stuff done when required. It might be last minute, but you probably know how to get stuff done when required. The other aspect, the least glamorous aspect of sales, arguably, is the ability to master your CRM, to master your digital device or phone, to master your laptop or desktop, to master your software, to master your booking system, to master your process of dealing with expenses, to master the process of dealing with admin, to master your car, because that's part of your office, to master your desk, to master your home, to master your bedroom, so it becomes a sanctuary for you to rest and recuperate. If you're traveling on the road as a territory manager, to master the hotel room and how you set it up. So if you're going to hop on a Zoom with a team leader, then the backdrop is appropriate. It's not your bed. It's not some scummy towel sitting in the corner. And then accidentally you then turn on your phone and say to the client, hey, I'd love to speak to you. And yes, we're professional. And guess what? There's the remnants of your breakfast or last night's dinner. You've got to master your tools. Now, it doesn't mean you have to get excited about it. There are some of the things on this list that I don't get excessively excited about myself. But I know for me to master a career in sales, I do have to take control and take responsibility for it. The final point on that list of mastering the tool is to see not only food as a blessing and as a gift, but to see it as a tool. Whether you eat or drink the right things, that is a tool. Because let's reverse it. If you spike yourself on caffeine or alcohol or sugar, that will make you disrupted, particularly if you're a territory manager traveling around, staying in motels. The chances are you'll have disrupted sleep. That will then damage you. So as a tool, it damaged you. So if something can damage you, then something can help you. So please make sure you look into that this year. Make sure you take some responsibility for that. I know it's not easy. I've been there. I've done it before. I've trained in over 12 different countries in person. I know what it's like. Time on the road is a tough thing to do, especially around trying to keep those routines going of exercise and good nutrition. But just look for improvements and give yourself some grace, or have some grace with yourself if you can't manage it perfectly. And then finally, accountability. Now, this is something my wife Jo and I talked about a lot over the holiday season, because we were talking about what is the breakthrough, the true-hearted breakthrough of, people going from good to great. As I mentioned, the first mistake of a lot of people is they think, oh, I've got to master a couple of things and then that'll be the breakthrough. When we've identified there's about 150 different things. But one thing shines above arguably all others is accountability. And the reality about mastering accountability is to realize that there's normally 3 bits of accountability, or 3 forms of accountability that you can have. One part of external or extrinsic accountability, meaning it's outside of yourself, would come from people outside. So when we are sales coaches in our Sales Mastery Academy and things like that for people, we're the outside accountability coaches. And that definitely plays a part, like a school teacher or school principal would play a part. The relationship isn't excessively emotional, but there's a relationship and a healthy respect there. The second form of extrinsic accountability comes from your manager. Now, whether that's a formal team leader, formal sales director, whatever the job title is, then of course you don't want to let them down. Plus, if they're paying you and you want bonuses from them, the chances are you want to keep them happy. That level of accountability certainly can have some very strong connotations around you. Now, remembering that the level of accountability can come with a stick just as much as it comes with a carrot. I think too many managers use the stick over the carrot in terms of motivation, whereas we typically need to encourage people with more of a carrot than we do a stick. But at the heart of all of this is if you can manage to develop your self-leadership, your self-discipline, and your self-accountability, that will dictate your long-term sales career. If you hold yourself to higher standards than your manager or an external coach would, if you hold yourself to higher standards than your family members or flatmates would, if you hold yourself to higher standards than your fellow colleagues would, then you'll drive to success. As I heard from my eldest daughter many years ago, probably about 13 years ago, when she'd been successful in sport, and one of her friends said, "How come we've got so many trophies?" She literally said, as any primary school child would, with total honesty, "Well, somebody's got to win." Well, in your career, in amongst your colleagues and versus your competitor reps, somebody's got to win. And I guarantee you, if you master your self-motivation, your self-accountability, that will go a long way to you winning. Then you'll just need access to the right processes, the right tools, the right techniques, the right knowledge, and then do so regularly. And then consistently you'll outperform your opposition. Somebody's got to be the best rep in the organization long term. Somebody's got to be the best salesperson in the industry. Somebody's got to win. So what I will encourage you to do right now is to look at those 4 areas to really master your sales career and try to make one improvement over the next 3 months in each of those areas. And then please, by all means, share with us on LinkedIn or other forms of social media. We want to know that the information we give to you is going to make a huge difference. And if you're part of a sales team that wants us to hold your hand and hold the whole team accountable, then reach out to us to talk to us around the Sales Mastery Academy, or simply send us an email to admin@salesmasterycompany.com. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're trying to do. Chances are we'll have a right program for you. And likewise, we'll probably be able to give you some free advice even if we don't have the right program for you at the time. I've been Ambrose Blofield. We're the Sales Mastery Company. And as always, be sure to take action.